Hello, everybody. My name is Jesus Martinez. I'm an immigration attorney. Today, I want to talk to you about how to win asylum in immigration court. In order to win asylum, you need to prove four things. First, you need to prove that you have suffered past persecution or you will suffer future persecution. The second thing you need to prove is that the motive that you suffered persecution or will is for a reason that the law recognizes. The third thing that you need to prove is that the government is unwilling or unable to protect you from this harm. And lastly, you must prove as well that you cannot relocate within your country to escape this danger. In other words, that you can't relocate to another part of the country and be safe there. For the first requirement, suffering past persecution or future persecution, the law is clear on some things. If you have been tortured, if you've been beaten, if you've been raped, at least in the Ninth Circuit, which encompasses California, if you have suffered these things, that is sufficient to prove that you have been persecuted or that you will be. So, for example, if you've been beaten up, if you've been hit, things of that nature, that is enough. The second requirement is that you must prove that there is a valid reason that the law recognizes to win asylum. So you could have been persecuted for a number of reasons. What a judge will care about is why. Why were you beaten up? Why were you harmed? This is very important. It can't be for any reason, but it has to be a reason that the law recognizes. The law recognizes 5 general categories of valid reasons. First, if you were harmed because of your race. Secondly, religion. Third, nationality. Fourth, political opinion. And lastly, because you belong to a particular social group. And I'll repeat, these are general categories. So for instance, with religion, you don't need to belong to a particular religion. You can be Christian, you can be Muslim, you can be Catholic, you can be a Jehovah's Witness, you could be some less common religion, but so long as the individuals that harmed you did it because of your religion, that's what's important. What's not as important is what religion you have, what political opinion you have, what race you are. What matters most is why did this person harm you? If the person harmed you because you possess this trait, because you belong to this group, because you adhere to this certain belief, that is what's important. You may then ask, well, how do I prove that the reason that they did this to me was because of this? Generally, their statements. If the person harmed you, for instance, an easy example is religion. If you were exiting the church, this person came up to you and said, you better leave this religion. You better stop believing in X religion. And if you don't, we're going to beat you up. Or if you had just exited the church and they hit your Bible to the floor and then they started pushing you around, they started beating you up, that would be good evidence to support that the reason they did this to you was because of your religion. Had you not exited the church, they likely wouldn't have beaten you up. Had they not seen that you had a Bible, they probably wouldn't have done anything to you, because how would they have been able to know that you belong to that faith if you weren't carrying that Bible? There is a lot of people that are fleeing from their home countries and they're fleeing for generalized violence. These types of cases are more difficult, even more difficult if you do not have a good judge or you are not in a immigration court that has a good approval rating. Having another judge is also very important. You could have a weak case, but if you have a good judge, it could be that you win asylum. However, if you have a strong asylum case, but your judge isn't that great, his or her approval rates are very low, then your chance of winning are that much harder. So it's very important to know what judge you have and what kind of arguments they approve on, because if you know that, then it makes your case that much easier. The third requirement is that you have to prove that the government was unwilling and unable. For instance, if you made a police report, if you submitted a government complaint and the government straight up told you that they can't help you, that they don't assist with these kinds of cases, or that you shouldn't do this, you're going to put yourself in danger, that could be strong evidence to support that the government is unwilling or unable to protect you. Let's say that the people that are harming you They are large in quantity. There's a lot of these people. They have a lot of power. They have a lot of money. They are a gang, or they just have a lot of resources. They're large in size. It could be that the government is unwilling or unable to protect you because there are too many of these people to fend off. There's too many of them to defend. For instance, if a gang is doing harm to you, you could make the argument that it doesn't matter if I relocate to this area, this town, if I move there, that gang is still there. They will communicate with one another and they will find me. That's a valid argument. Lastly, you must also prove that you would be unable to safely relocate to another part of your country. With this requirement, if you establish that you have suffered past persecution, this last element is presumed to be satisfied. What this means is that there's an assumption. There's an assumption that you can't internally relocate. The government can also rebut this by showing evidence that you could relocate safely. Nonetheless, if you provide evidence to support that you can't relocate, you don't have enough resources, even if you were to relocate, you couldn't live there safely because XY reason, the gang is there are people there that know the person that was harming me, they will find me, they'll do things to me, or things of that nature, that is also another way to satisfy that element. Let's say you establish all four elements, all four requirements for asylum. That doesn't mean that you're going to win. As I previously stated, it depends on the judge. If you have a good judge, then that's good for you. You have a higher chance of winning asylum. Even more so if you have a good ICE attorney who is willing to not appeal and let you win asylum, that's good as well. But it does depend a lot on your judge. You could, like I said, you could have a really strong case, but a bad judge and still lose asylum. It does happen. It has happened. Thank you for your time. If you have any questions, please let me know.